Welcome to Yellow with Susu. I'm your host Susu, and tonight's topic is cinematography with Chris Eppes. And thanks so much, Chris, for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only are you a cinematographer, you actually run your own production company.
Yes, that
Okay.
is fact.
Okay. And what's the name of the production company?
So the original name was Haywiz Productions, but now I run it under another name called Notion Promotions. I was attempting to kind of just put myself out there and see what would stick.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, it ended up being like it ended up not feeling authentic enough. So I
Okay.
kind of moved away from doing that kind of format. So I mean, so for everybody that doesn't know, basically I would put myself in front of a black background, and then I would have like this dramatic overhead lighting that looked really cool, and I would just kind of state my opinions on things, or if I had any advice, I would say whatever that advice was. Um, and then that would kind of be it. So like they were just reels, right? So it would be like maybe a minute, or at the most a minute and 30, and I would kind of make some of them creative, other ones would just be kind of straightforward. So yeah, that was kind of an experiment. I have
Yeah.
to figure out like what comes next, because I haven't put anything like on that social media page since, besides just here and there some content. But thank you, like that means a lot to know that it encouraged you.
Yeah, no, of course. And so we can go ahead and just dive into this. Chris, like can you maybe tell us a bit about your background and how you got started in cinematography and film production?
Yeah, absolutely. So I I went to Eastern,
Okay.
which is a college in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and
Okay.
so went there in my sophomore year. I declared my major, which was electronic media and film studies, and so then I went to Eastern for about 5 years, and I finally graduated, and I kind of just threw myself into the freelance world. Back then I wasn't making a lot of money. I was probably making around like maybe $200 a month. So, times were kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I made my first video. I believe that was in 2015, and it was an event in Royal Oak, and it was called Bike Night. And basically at this event, people ride their motorcycles. They park on the curb and just show off their rides. It's a really cool event. The streets are lined with motorcycles, so I filmed that event. And I kind of just shared it, and then my cousin saw it and he reached out to me. He was like, hey, I know the head of production at this. It was a radio station, but then it was also like a TV station. So he was like, I could put you in contact with them. So that's what he did. And I started working there. I believe that was in 2016. I worked there for 4 years. And then the entire time I was working there, so I was working on both the radio side and the TV side. So on the TV side, it was an internationally broadcasted network. So we would like film live shows and stuff. So I learned a lot about live production there. And then on the radio side, I would make promos and commercials for like clients that that they would have. So did that for 4 years. Was doing music videos and stuff on the side. Did weddings on the side. So I got a lot of experience. Went to a lot of events. For those that don't know, like I operated a jib camera, which is like a big old crane camera. Um, so I got like a whole bunch of aerial shots and everything. It was really cool. And then yeah, so I just did that for like around 4 years. Got a lot of experience. Met a nice group of people, and so we would kind of like trade work with each other and stuff. So I knew like a whole bunch of photographers and videographers, and yeah. And then COVID happened. I got laid off, and I've been freelancing and doing my own thing ever since.
Was there a certain moment in your life that inspired you to pursue this career?
Yeah. So to give some backstory into like what initially got me into it, when I was younger, I wanted to be an animator. I didn't want to go into
Wow.
film.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
So I watched like a lot of Dragon Ball Z and a lot of
Oh,
other and a lot of
Crayon.
other yeah, and a lot of other animes and stuff. So I drew a lot, so I wanted to do that. And
Oh,
then
no
it
way.
wasn't,
So you're an
yeah,
artist. So you
yeah,
draw too? Oh, wow. That's
yep,
very cool.
yeah. And then I there was points in I believe it was high school because I was a art major in high school. I
Oh,
went
no
to
way.
yeah I went to Cass Tech as well.
Oh,
So
wow. And anybody who doesn't know, can you tell us what, Castac is a big deal.
yeah, so Cass Tech is in it's in Detroit, Michigan. It's one of the best public schools that you can attend. Big Sean went there.
Yeah, Big Sean, the artist, he went there as well. You're right.
Which actually I went to middle school and high school with Big Sean.
Oh,
He was
wow.
a couple grades above me
Oh,
though, so I mean I would see him, a lot, but I never really talked to him. But from what I saw, he was always a cool dude.
you've already had that visual mindset. So it
Hmm.
transitions beautifully into cinematography. So I can definitely see that. So you said you just went to school, and is that what it was? You just got inspired as you went along?
So it wasn't until college. So whenever I saw film or films, I was like, film filmmaking must be really easy because all you do is you just point a camera at something and you hit record. And boy, was I wrong, right? So
Right.
it wasn't it wasn't until my sophomore year in college because I was uh I, I I didn't have a major in my freshman year, so I was still one of those ones that was just kind of trying to figure everything out. So sophomore year, I saw the movie Inception, and I don't know what this film did, but it was just like amazing to me, and I was like, maybe I should try this filmmaking thing out because that film blew my mind. Um, and so then I declared that my major. And when I graduated, and I wanted more knowledge, right? I was like, so how can I get more hands-on experience? So I went to YouTube and just learned a whole lot of things on how to shoot, on how to edit. I made my own gear. I made a shoulder rig out of PVC pipe and electrical tape. I
No,
mean, it
you
was
did
crazy.
not.
I started off with a Nikon. I think it was I forgot the exact model it was, but it was an entry level Nikon camera. And if anybody in this industry knows that shooting video on Nikon isn't the best thing to do because Nikon is more of a photography camera.
Photography camera.
Yeah, but that's what I had and that's what I used. And so I think there's even a lesson in that where it's just like, wherever you're starting from, just use what you have. I mean, these days it's so easy, right? Because we have phones and stuff and the footage looks amazing. But you still need the other techniques. You still need the other skills of lighting and stuff like that, and to know what a good shot is. Cinematography, essentially is, I guess I would describe it as the art of lighting. So whether that be lighting a single person or lighting like a big space for people to act out a scene in or to even have events in, right? I mean, if you go all the way to live broadcasting lighting, right? Or live event lighting. Um, Cinematography is just like the aspect of or the art of light and shadows. Um, with that, um, cinematography also it's heavily related to the shots that you can get on a camera or the angles that you can get on a camera. So what's the best angle, right? So we have lights pointing in this direction and whatever other directions, what's the best place that we can put these people in so that we can get the best results, the best image, and things like that. So that's essentially what cinematography is without me having to go online and look up a concrete definition.
A definition from the dictionary.
Yeah, but that's essentially what it is.
Hmm. And that's really interesting because, like, could you maybe help us understand a little bit? Everybody thinks that a cinematographer and the DP have the same job.
So a DP, which is essentially a director of photography, is someone that is like over the department of um like over the department of lighting and camera operating, I guess you could say, right? So they are the director of that aspect of the production.
Mm-hmm.
So like and so I actually have a definition of a cinematographer up here right now.
Okay. Here.
Just because I figure that this
Hey,
would be easier to get a
that's
concrete
fine.
explanation. Yeah.
Sure, let's check it out. Read it for us.
Cinematography is the art and craft of making motion pictures by capturing a story visually. Though technically, cinematography is the art and science of recording light, either electronically onto an image sensor or chemically onto film. So cinematography seems to have more to do with like the actual use of the camera and capturing the image that is created by the lighting or the scene or
Okay.
whatever it is, right? So the director, like you said, they can work very closely with the uh, DP, with the cinematographer. It just depends on like that on that director's style. For me, I'm finding my way. I'm finding more of my home is actually in the director's chair these
Oh,
days,
okay.
be, because like like I so as far as filmmaking goes, I have these ideas or whatever, right, that I want to put to paper and then ultimately to film. So making like having other people that are also talented, create those images and stuff, and leaning in on their talent, and then just kind of like directing what I want to see. I don't know, that's just caught my attention way more because I realize that I have these ideas and these concepts that I just want to put down onto paper, or I'm sorry, not onto paper, onto the screen.
Mhm.
And I just, as a cinematographer or like a DP, you don't really have much control
Mhm.
over like a story narrative because obviously that comes from the writer and then it goes to the director. So you're
Right.
kind of just like a part of the process instead of like being the one directing the process. So that's kind of like my next move is to just be in the director's chair because I've directed films before, but I've
Yeah.
always had a heavy part in actually recording the footage as well.
Hmm.
And my last film, which it was a mental health awareness film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was back in 2019. I
Hmm.
kind of did that to like kind of test myself. Now, obviously, when I watch it, I'm like, "Ooh, that looks terrible to me." I think the more skills that you have, like if you know even just a little bit about each piece of the puzzle, I think it makes you a better and more well-rounded director because then you understand like when somebody has an issue, you can just come alongside them and be like, "Yo, I understand what you're going through. I get it, and this is how we are going to fix the problem," right? So I think that's really important.
Is there maybe something you can share, like a particular time, like something that was challenging in a project that you worked on, or how you overcame those challenges?
Yeah, so there was one time actually I was working with a friend of mine. He's like an excellent DP. We were working on a movie that's out on Tubi right now, actually.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, it's called What About Christmas? But yeah, so anyway, I was working with him and uh, it was we were filming for a while and we were losing daylight, and that's like the worst thing, right? So it's like if you have day scenes and you're just losing daylight, but luckily the scenes were inside. So what we were able to do is we were able to kind of like put lights outside of the house and shine them through the windows to make it look like it was light outside. And so, of course, we had, curtains and stuff and blinds so that, it looked like the sun was shining in. And I was surprised, like we used like all of the lights that we had, and we were able to make it look like it was light outside the house. And so it was just shining in, and the whole house just lit up. And that was something that I wasn't expecting. Like, because I remember when we were talking about it, I was like, "Yo, okay, this is a huge problem because we're supposed to shoot these scenes, and it was like a good amount of scenes. We were supposed to shoot those scenes that night, so that means if we lost that day,
Oh
or
yeah.
that night, then we were going to be behind. So, but luckily we pulled that off, and it came out pretty good, and I was actually pretty surprised at how good it came out. So I'd say that's one of the most recent issues that I've come across that we kind of just played around with a little bit. Kind of had some fun with it, and we were happy with the end result.
You have quite an interesting background as well, just in your family life. You're a dad, which is amazing.
Hmm.
You have an amazing wife, and just for you to be like a man of God, and then not just leading yourself into this whole film industry, but being able to balance your everyday life as a dad, having that family, leading a family, and then also um still going after your dreams. Now, is there something you can maybe give us advice on?
So for me, being a father and still going after my dreams has been one of the hardest things I've done. I have a wife and 3 kids,
Oh wow.
and and one thing I can say is the fact that I don't have a normal 9 to 5 helps out quite a bit because I
Right.
have autonomy of my time,
Mhm.
but still trying to it took a long time to figure out, okay, at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, whenever my day is supposed to end, I have to put my stuff down and just like go and be with the family, right? Because that was something that me and my wife dealt with early on with me just working a lot. Like I was a workaholic essentially,
Mhm.
and it took her a while to get used to that, this kind of like lifestyle as well, because I would just, you know, sometimes I would have a shoot at 7 o'clock, at night, or that the call time would be at 3 o'clock in the morning or four o'clock in the morning, whatever. And so that took a little bit for her to get used to. Um, and then like this is something else that I'm gonna hint at, but I'm not gonna go into the story of it. Going to church, being, I guess, a man of God, as you said.
Mhm.
Um, that's something that my wife kind of reintroduced me to. I went to church when I was younger, and then there was like a huge season where I didn't. So like maybe from the age of 8 to until I met my wife, really, I didn't really go to church on a regular basis.
Mhm.
Um, I went to college, party, did all that stuff, and then met my wife, and then all of a sudden it was like we're going to church.
Oh, really?
So pretty much.
You have to have a
Mm-mm.
lot of faith in yourself, and then for you to have your wife, and I do want to hear a little bit more about this.
She's always been in the church since she was young. She has a strong relationship with her grandparents, and they kind of like kept her on the right path, even through the times when she was being rebellious. She always came back to the church and stuff, and she just went. She had lived enough life, and then eventually kind of settled in and was like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where my faith is. This is what I've always grown up believing. So this is me, right? And so then when she brought that to the relationship, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, I don't know. I never
Okay.
I never considered myself to have a Christian church going, sanctified wife. Yeah. Yeah. And so I have to say, uh I love my wife, and kudos to her for sticking to her faith, and even um challenging me, even, and saying, okay, so what are we going to do, with our kids? How are we going to raise them? Like what morals are they going to have and stuff? And I mean, when it's presented like that, and you say, okay, yeah, how are my kids going to be raised?
Mhm.
you know I'd rather them be raised in the church than just learning whatever culture out here tells them, because then at least they'll have a good base for their morality. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we're what that's kind of what we encourage them to learn, is that to have faith in yourself. Well, of course, to have faith in God first, but then to know that God has blessed you enough for you to go out and do the things that even might scare you, right? So yeah, that's absolutely important. And yeah, I'm kind of just I'm kind of I'm happy that we've led our kids down this path. I think it was the right one.
Mhm.
And it's it's great to see them kind of grow in it and see how much faith that they have in it already.
Is there a difference with editing when it comes to a film and a music video?
Got you. Okay. So, um, okay, I've always seen like I think it depends on the type of music video because there are some music videos that are more like film, like where they kind of tell a story.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and then there's like music videos that are just like so focused on the artist themselves, and the artist is like in almost every shot. Um, and then of course there's like the high level, big budget music videos, and then there's the ones where like we're gonna show up in front of a trap house,
oh,
and
oh! I don't know
you
if
know.
people know about that in Detroit. That's like a style. That's like a style for Michigan people. It's a trap house, a gas station, or a party store.
Yeah, So I think it depends on what kind of music video you're talking about. So even in like the question that you're asking, there's like all these other details that you kind of have to consider. I'd say music videos that kind of tell a story and might have some visuals that go along with the narrative in the music. Those are definitely more like film because you kind of set those up the same way. And even in some cases, you might even gather audio and have like a little insert where the characters on the screen talk to each other, or whatever. So that can be more like a film, right? And then as far as some of the other ones that are more artist heavy, those are a little bit different, depending on the style. Because if we're talking about like a high energy trap beat, rapping kind of music video, that can be a little bit different, like than film, because for that music video you're talking about quick cuts, you're talking about like adding a lot of effects in there, just like stuff that's very flashy, all these abstract and weird angles that just kind of grab your attention and makes you want to see what the next cut is going to be. So if we're looking at that kind of music video, it's different than film, because in film you want to, in most cases, hold a scene for a longer period of time so that people can emote with the scene or with the characters. You want to create a feeling, which often means that you have to go at a slower pace. Um, there are some films that are faster in pace, um, but they're still different and still slower than the music video that I just said earlier.
Would you recommend one camera over the other when you're shooting?
The coolest camera, I mean, if you're talking about like the most high-end camera, more expensive camera range, you're looking at like, Red cameras or Sony Venice or Ari Alexa, like those kind of cameras, right? Those are like your industry standard filmmaking cameras that will cost you five figures, right?
Right.
Mid to high five figures. Um, and now, if you're going down to more of the just run of the mill cinema cameras, or you know um, mirrorless cameras, you have quite a few options with Sony as well. You have like the FX30, FX3, you have the FX6. You have, Canon has a good cinema line. You're talking about like the C200s, C300s, C500s. Fuji has some good hybrid cameras. I'm not really a Fuji shooter, but they have some really good cameras as well.
What kind of advice would you give to somebody who is an aspiring cinematographer and somebody who wanted to get into film production just like you?
I would say, I'm going to say the same thing that I've heard other people say because it is really true. Use what you have. These days, we all have a phone in our pocket. Use that. And then, if you want to play with some lighting, go ahead and find some, cheap lights. You can find used lights and stuff, on the internet. Get, maybe two or three or whatever, and just start playing around with them. Start creating little scenes. I mean, there's like so much content on YouTube that you can use for inspiration. Um, One of the people that I learned from on YouTube, who I learned a lot from, Olufemi. It's Olufemii, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he has a whole bunch of tutorials on his page. And his company has really grown as far as being a YouTube star and everything. So I learned a lot from him. But just search online. I mean, there's so much available information for free that you can you know learn from. And then above all else, just practice. So after, if you're gonna watch some YouTube videos, don't just watch YouTube videos all day. Go out there and actually practice what you're learning, and see what your own style is. Call some friends and be like, hey, do you want to shoot like a mini film or whatever. I mean, now, we have TikTok, we have Instagram Reels, create short content, like there's so many examples of short content that you can create. So, to be honest, there's like no excuse anymore. Like you really just have to put your mind to, to do something and then actually execute on it and finish it. Who knows what may be on the other side of that? Because like there's so much opportunity these days. Start with what you have. Like everybody always says that they want to start off with like, oh, I don't have the right camera and stuff. Yo, iPhone 12, a Samsung Galaxy, whatever number they're on. Yo, it doesn't matter as long as that thing has a lens on the back of it and you can hit record. That's all you need. Because there are a lot of people that will create films with their iPhones, and they look amazing. And they look amazing because they had the right lighting,
All right,
they
like
had the right sound, so all that stuff is way more important than the camera itself. You can buy a cheap camera and light a scene correctly and have it look amazing. But if you don't have it lit correctly and you have the best camera in the world, it's not going to look that great.
where, like, let's say if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, they want to shoot a commercial, they want you to film something for their music video or do anything like that, where can they reach you at? So I know what is your social media?
So my Instagram is at Notion underscore promotions.
Okay. At no
Um, mhm,
underscore promotions. Okay.
yep. And then that's Notion underscore PROMOTIONS.
Okay. And that's your website as well?
Yes, so website will be notionpromotions.com.
Okay. And that's where people can do, right? That's the website where you can go and see actually some of the work you did, and I think there was like some music video shots on there as well.
So really where it's at right now is I have like a lot of car content on there. So car
Oh wow.
content and fitness content because that's a niche that I was trying to go into.
Hmm.
That might be changing soon, but yes, if people want to go there to see some of the work that I've done within the past year, then yes, they can go there.
Thank you so much for this episode, Cinematography with Chris Eppes. Chris, thank you so much for giving us your time and inspiring us with your story. Hopefully, anybody out there who's listening, you take something from this, you go for your dreams, give it a shot, and just want to say thank you again so much. All right, everybody, yalla.
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 Actually, I wanted to say YOLO, but hey, yalla,
Yalla.
yalla.
Thank you so much, Chris. And, we always wishing you many blessings and look forward to, see some of your future projects.
All right, same to you.
No, thank you so much. And again, where again were they able to check out or contact you?
They can actually contact me by email. Chris Eppes, ChrisEppes at Notion promotions promotions.com.
Thank you so much, Chris. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Yella, talk to you later.